Hello, 427 subscribers. This is a very exciting video for me since we've been waiting for this integration for a while now. If you've built any voice agent for the past few months, you know that one of the biggest problems that they have is that these agents are pretty linear. You cannot create conversational paths. So essentially, you provide a prompt to the voice AI, either you're building it on a software like VAPI or Synthflow or Blend AI. You provide a prompt and then you can connect the functions, but essentially it's very linear. Obviously, this can be solved when you create something in the text format, when you create chatbots. Chatbots are more complex since it's much easier to build them. This integration will allow us to create multi-path workflows and flows and sequences for your voice AI agent. Essentially, the software that we're going to use are VAPI and Voiceflow. VAPI is a software where you can create voice AI agent. You probably heard about them. And the Voiceflow is, I think, right now the best on the market solution for building the text-based interfaces. Again, I'm simplifying it. Obviously, there are much more use cases if you can interact with both of their APIs. But in this case, we'll just focus on the agent side. On this wireframe, I show you how the actual structure, the simplified structure of interactions between your agent and your user works. Essentially, we have a user request, and then this request, let's say, goes to VAPI. Again, just to clarify, this is the VAPI software. This is the software where you can create voice AI agent, if any of you didn't know. Essentially, when we have a request, we send a request to VAPI, and in VAPI, let's say you have an assistant, you provide a prompt here, you provide the first message, you configure the model, you can create different functions, and right now these are called tools. So let's say, and I had like a few videos on this channel where I show how you can connect mail, or an external CRM to this voice AI agent. Essentially, you have the prompt, you have the functions, and you have the knowledge base, right? So you can upload essentially in like a few files, the documents, and then you can connect these documents as a knowledge base to your voice AI so that it has a context about your company, your services, or your business. So when a user sends a request, VAPI processes this request based on these materials, send it back, and provide the answer to the user. Right now, what we can do, essentially, we don't need this part. When a user sends a request and talking to the VAPI assistant, VAPI connects to Voiceflow. And just so that you know, voiceflow.com, this is the software that we're going to use. I have a lot of tutorials on this channel where I go over this specific chatbot builder, about different use cases, about all of the templates in my resource hub. Anyways, so the idea is that when VAPI connects to Voiceflow, there are much more ways how you can build your agent inside Voiceflow. So you first have a vector knowledge bases. Essentially, this is a Voiceflow builder, and you have a knowledge base. Here you can upload different sources. You can upload URLs, files, plain text, sitemap integrations. So it's much more complex than VAPI. Plus, the benefit is that it's vector, and it is like, essentially, they are specifically designed, right? So Voiceflow been on the market for probably more than 5 years now, and they been really focusing on polishing their knowledge base feature. So that's why it's really, really robust solution right now. So we have the intents that I'm going to show you next, we have the integrations, and we have the custom actions. So we have all these things together that agent can reference to respond to the user query. And then essentially we can, like, VAPI connects to Voiceflow, Voiceflow send back information to VAPI, and VAPI provide an answer to the user. Let me show you the quick demo that I have built on the connection between VAPI and Voiceflow. I'll talk to the agent, you'll see how it works, and then I'll show you how to actually connect it together. We are calling the number right now.
Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Can I book a table?
Welcome to Book a Table Intent in Voiceflow. May I know your full name?
Yeah, sure. So my full name is Eugene Kadzin.
Nice to meet you, Eugene Caden. How can I assist you today?
Okay, so can I get some information about your company?
Now you're in company information flow. Welcome. Can you please tell me your email?
Yeah, so my email is chinakadzin@gmail.com.
Thank you for providing your email as china.kadzin@gmail.com. Let me provide you with some information about our company. Our company is called Company Name. We are a description
thank
of the
you.
company. You're welcome. If you have any more questions or need further assistance, feel free to ask.
Yes, actually, so can I see your menu?
This is a menu flow. Happy to see you here. What are you interested in?
Okay, so it doesn't this assistant doesn't make any sense, right? As you can see, it's very, very basic. The answers are not even relevant. So, but you can see that the assistant that we have created here, and it's built here, so it doesn't have any first message or any system prompt. Essentially, it is empty. But this is the Voiceflow agent that I have created. And when we ask something specific, an intent, right? So we have a booking table intent. When we asked this intent, it went to this specific sequence, to this specific flow, and was saying, welcome to the booking table intent. And you can obviously build different intents for different use cases. This is how we always design our text-based chatbots, right? But it was not possible before to do it using voice. And essentially, when a user has another question about company information, this is another intent, and it sends this user to this intent flow and provide this information. And then when I asked about the menu, it went here, and the connections are not visible for some reason. Okay, so I think you got the idea on the structure. So now let's see how it works on the backend. Essentially, when you create an agent on VAPI, and let's say it's test, you can create the blank one. Obviously, you provide the first message, you provide the prompt, and you provide the transcriber model, the voice, the functions if it's needed, and all these other settings. There are plenty of YouTube tutorials right now about VAPI. But what you need to understand is that you can choose different providers like VAPI, OpenAI, Grok, Anthropic, like all the different providers for the LLM. And what you also can do, you can connect the custom large language model. And for this specific reason, and for this, we're not creating again, guys, I just want you to understand that I am not a technical person, and I was able to make it work. And this is not a in-depth tutorial. This feature was introduced basically yesterday, so I made a quick prototype. If you are technical, I will show you where to find all the information, and you'll be able to do it yourself probably in 10 minutes. But if you're not technical, I'll provide you everything that you need to understand it and run. So essentially, we are not creating the custom LLM. We essentially need to provide a URL which is directly connected to your Voiceflow agent, right? So if we go to my Voiceflow agent here, it's the VAPI agent named Voiceflow, you can see the custom URL, LLM URL, and this is the actual URL that the VAPI uses to access our voice bot or chatbot, which is built on Voiceflow. And you can build any bot that you want. So essentially, this is the start step. And let's say you can create a response AI and say, greeting the user, and then you can wait for the response. So you can design it however you want. And the benefit that on each step, and this is again, if you used the Voiceflow before, you already know that. So on each step, you can configure your own model. It's not one model for the whole assistant. And if you see here, for example, the start flow is very simple. So we can use probably GPT for like 3.5 turbo. But then let's say for booking a table, we want to have something more in depth. So when we are, let's say, capturing the step or analyzing like confirm user full name, but essentially you would have something like different. You can use another model like Claude Sonnet 3.5, maybe Sonnet, just for this specific step, right? So if this step requires more in-depth analysis and smarter AI. So let's say in the menu, you want to connect, let's say if you want to connect an external app, so what you can do, you can create an API request to, let's say, a make webhook. And when a user like chatting about booking a table, chatting about company information, but then when the user says, okay, let me see your menu, essentially it will go to this intent and will call this API. And let's say this is the webhook that will be sent to make, get the information from your CRM or from your Google Sheet and then provide it to the user, essentially, or you can directly connect to Google Sheet. Again, the possibilities are endless. Like, you need to think that you will build the same kind of assistant that you built for the text chatbot interface, but you will interact and your customers and clients will interact with this assistant through voice, right? And this is why it's super cool. You can first configure different LLMs for different use cases. Plus, you can configure different flows with different integrations with different API calls. So we need to get this, the setup seems to be simple. The hardest part is to get this URL, because essentially you create an assistant, you put the provider custom LLM, the model doesn't really matter. So you need to get this link. That's it, right? So you need to set up the transcribing. You can choose any voice that you want. You don't need any functions, since essentially you can do the functions inside Voiceflow. And yeah, so the question is, how do you actually get this custom LLM? Few things. First, Voiceflow did provide like a guide in their GitHub repo. Honestly, I never used GitHub in my life. Like, I did, obviously, but I'm not an active user since I'm not a coder. So I was able to figure this out, but bear with me. Essentially, if you, like, again, if you're a developer, you have this info. I will have in my resource hub, I will have this link, or you can just Google it and find. So, and you'll be able to essentially like copy this thing and run it locally on your machine, like on your Windows or whatever, like on your computer, or upload it to something like Heroku. Okay, so if you're a developer, that should be pretty clear. So essentially they have a README guide. So if you go here, they explain everything with screenshot. The first part is easy, but then they're like, create a file, what file, like where do I create it, right? So this starts to look scary, right, for the non-technical guys. Yeah, so like essentially this part is super confusing. I was able to figure this out using Claude, and I have a step-by-step guide here. Guys, I will provide this specific guide as well as this template to my resource hub. It's free, first link in the description. So just copy this template and follow this guide. Okay, so you should be good. But if you're not comfortable, so what I would do in your case, so I would just copy this thing from my resource hub and paste it to Claude, because Claude is much better when it comes to like configuring different requests and building similar things. So you can essentially like copy this thing and say, hey, this is the instruction that I have. Can you help me to figure this out? And it will guide you through. But essentially, you need like a few steps. It says that introduction, so create an account. So we need obviously the Voiceflow account, we need VAPI account, Heroku. So there are two ways from like my basic understanding. Again, I'm like given my no coder like experience and understanding. So you can run this thing locally on your computer, but your computer needs to run all the time. So it's not the best way to do that. Or you actually have an option to upload it to like a cloud to a server. And there are a few ways. So what, like, I use Heroku, whatever, and Raplet. There's a thing called Raplet again. And if you ask me how did you choose, I didn't. Essentially, when I was trying to configure this in Claude, it said, okay, so we should use Heroku for it, and I said, well, okay. So essentially, you create a Heroku account, you sign up. The very important thing that you need to, like, when you sign up, it's free, obviously. You will have the create new app here. Click the create the new app, and it will ask you to provide your credit card. It will not charge you anything. It's more for the verification purposes. So provide the card and you're ready to go. So, okay, so we have the Voiceflow account, we have VAPI account, Heroku account. We need to have the GitHub account. So just go to, GitHub and I guess create an account. And then we need to download Node.js. So essentially type Node.js, download, install it on your computer, click continue, and it's going to be installed automatically. Now we will create, let's say, a project on Voiceflow like that. You can configure the flow, right? Then when we configure the flow, we get the API key and project ID. So you can find this. This is your API key, and in the settings, you can find your project ID. So you copy this thing. Very important thing. You need to publish, like, they actually suggest you can kind of do it a bit differently. They actually also suggest you to test it first and then publish. Okay, just keep it in mind. I would, like, let's say you build it, just test it a few times like this, go back, and then like publish, and it should be ready to go. Okay, so when we have all this, we log into VAPI, create a new assistant, and note down the assistant ID. Okay, so then we go to VAPI, we create the assistant. This is your assistant ID. You copy this assistant ID. Again, I would, like, I'm understanding right now, like, just copy this thing from my resource hub, paste it to Claude, and say, hey, please help guide me through, and say, this is my VAPI like assistant ID. Then you go here, this is my API key from VAPI, this is my project ID from Voiceflow, and this is my API key from Voiceflow. So provide all this information to Claude, and it will give you the finalized, things. And this is like the hardest part, to follow all these commands and things. So essentially, the command prompt, you would need to, on the Windows, you press Windows R. I'm not sure if you're able to see it. You run the cmd command, okay, and you will, like, I don't think that you actually see it right now since I'm just sharing the window, but essentially you have a command prompt, and you just, copy this, paste, copy this, paste, copy this, paste, copy this. Like, essentially you just copy paste these things, and I'm not going to explain what each one of these things does because I'm not even super clear myself. I will, like, tomorrow I'll talk to my dev guys and they'll probably explain me better. But again, if you know me, like, for this specific YouTube channel, I don't call them out. So I'm just trying to build everything myself. So essentially, and yeah, here you kind of provided, you kind of like, running the Heroku, and you're trying to create an app in Heroku. Again, guys, I just want you to understand that it's not hard, right? It sounds scary, but Claude is really good in guiding you through. So just copy everything and it will guide you through how to set it up. But at the end of the day, you will have, so essentially here, when you run everything, it will give you this custom LLM URL. Not custom LLM, so it will just give you the URL, right? So you have this URL. At the end, you put /API, you publish it, and that's it. So essentially, that's it. It's connected to Voiceflow. I am planning to, if this video will get at least like 100 views, we'll see if people like it. I will create probably like an hour or 2 hour long tutorial on how to actually connect it together, and we'll go through all the steps. today or tomorrow, I will talk probably tomorrow with my dev guys. They'll advise me, and I know that people usually use Replit and not Heroku. It's kind of, I think, old school service, and at least for the interface. So we'll maybe build something more like better in terms of the user experience, and then I'll record a tutorial on how to do that. Obviously, you will have some documentation, I think, from a Voiceflow. You can, join their Discord server, but again, it's not like their highest priority, so they would probably release it in like a week or so, and not sure if they're gonna ever publish a full tutorial. Especially when they publish the tutorial, is going to be probably for the technical guys, but technical guys can understand everything when they just have the GitHub repo, probably. Okay, again, this is the new era of chatbots and voice assistants, because now we can create very, very detailed conversational path flows with different integrations. Like, I'm super excited. I will probably record much more videos now about voice AI agents on this channel. Well, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.